President Trump's new North American trade deal is going to be adding $68.2 billion and 167,000 jobs to the economy. This is according to an independent International Trade Commission report. For more details, let's go to Edward Lawrence. He is live inside the Beltway with more. Hi, Edward.
Hey, David. Yeah, the U.S. International Trade Commission report marks the final piece of information that's needed for Congress to start this ratification process. Now, the report says the USMCA will give just a modest gain to the economy. It will create 176,000 jobs over the next 6 years before the USMCA must be renewed. Now, that's less than the average monthly job gains over the past 3 months. Still, there's a growing backlash within Congress as well as Mexico and Canada. The House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal says we must closely review analysis of the terms of the agreement relating to labor, environment, enforcement, and intellectual property, as I remain concerned that these portions of the renegotiated deal are not yet acceptable. Republican Senator Ron Portman says as long as steel and aluminum tariffs remain in place on the Mexico and Canada, he may not vote for ratification. White House Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett not worried.
There are moments in time when something is so obviously a good idea that it can make it through even this broken Congress. And I think the USMCA is going to be one of those things.
And the administration needs at least 24 Democrats in the House to vote for ratification if they get all the Republicans. Along with the pushback from Congress today, a senior Canadian official signaling to me that they are not going to ratify USMCA unless steel and aluminum tariffs are removed. Now, today, the U.S. Trade Representative's office told me that they're working on a side deal to remove those tariffs with both Mexico and Canada. They're just not there yet. Back to you guys.
A lot of hardball there. Edward, thank you very much. Have a good weekend. So, gang, if passed, could this deal keep the economy humming? What do you think?
This ITC report is very good news. I think for people who like limited government, we've kind of been looking at this trade deal, this rewrite of NAFTA, as maybe could have been worse, maybe not too much damage. OK, we're going to pay more for cars, but otherwise not all that much damage. This is a bipartisan panel, not Peter Navarro, not the White House, saying this is actually going to add some jobs. It's going to add a little bit of GDP. Kevin Hassett says that this analysis doesn't even include gains for us in intellectual property protection in the deal. So I think what could have been terrible maybe is not terrible. Maybe it's even good. I hope this report is accurate.
I mean, I'm looking at 0.35%. That's the gain to GDP after 6 years. I need to change a prescription on my glasses to see this growth. Look, I'm glad to have a deal. I'm glad business leaders can make decisions going forward and have some visibility. But the president was talking about this as the worst deal in the history of human civilization. I don't know how you go from that to a Trump deal and you're getting 0.35% after 6 years.
Almost 200,000 jobs. That ain't nothing. Go ahead, gang.
Well, I'm going to go right between James and Jack on this. I agree with James. Look, it's great that, you know, the government steps back a little bit. It'd be great if we didn't even have to have these agreements. It was just free trade. But I'm with Jack. The effect on this, you talked about the effect on the GDP. It's about 0.12% on the unemployment. That's like what, 2 Walmarts opening over the next 6 years? It's nothing, really. We're crowing about this. It's kind of silly. But look, any move in the positive direction on opening the borders is going to be good regardless.
Okay, wait a minute. I'll push back a little bit. We are protecting U.S. auto manufacturers. 75% of a car from 62% now has to be made in North America, 40 to 45% of which of these car parts of manufactured cars must be made by workers making at least $16 an hour. And what is that doing? That's going to protect plants, auto manufacturers, U.S. plants from being shipped to Mexico, for example, for cheaper labor. So the labor unions
why do we need to protect an industry, though, Heather?
Manufacturing jobs. Why do we need
to protect them? Why don't other industries get protection?
Well,
why do we need to single out an industry? And who's hurting by having those industries protected? It's the American consumer that are paying slightly higher prices for the cars.
Okay, but the whole point of President Trump and trade negotiations with USMCA as well as China is protecting domestic jobs here in the U.S. So while the consumer prices for cars may go up for the consumer, we are protecting U.S. auto manufacturers because at the end of the day, if you don't have a job and you don't have a living wage, then you can't go buy a car, even if the price of the car goes up.
I agree with that. But why don't we protect the steel industry? Why don't we protect the textile industry and all the other industries affected?
Well, that's why Republicans in Congress are pushing back and saying that part of this deal that they want to iron out in the details and get rid of the steel and aluminum tariffs. You're exactly right.
Yeah, also, I don't mean to depress Gary any further, but this deal is almost
no, I'm in a good mood, actually.
It's almost certainly going to get worse to get Democratic votes in the House.
That's true.
So we're hoping maybe this ITC thing is accurate. Maybe this doesn't do any damage. Maybe it even helps the economy. But the deal's going to get a little worse.
But
in
Jack,
terms of more regulation.
Despite your use of the magnifying glass to see the impact of this thing, if we get, again, it depends on which direction you're going. If the direction is down, it's bad. If the direction is up, it's good. And if you get this USMCA, as small as the gains might be, coupled with a China deal, I mean, you could have not only our economy, but you think of how China tariffs have hurt the world economy. You could have a boom that would last us at least through the election, right?
Here's the good news. You're going to get more growth from here. This expansion isn't over. This bull market isn't over. And I'll tell you why. If you're a partisan out there, you look at the last 10 years, I guarantee you part of it was run by a party you don't like. We had great gains and pretty good growth during that period because the only thing that has mattered is low interest rates and government spending, which we don't like this deficit spending, but it has acted like a credit card advance on growth. We're still going $1 billion into the hole on our deficit each year. The Fed funds rate is still half its historical average. We're still juicing this economy, and it's going to keep growing from here.
Yeah, but it's been tightening at the margin. I think, look, the big Trump contributions to the economy are the tax cut and the red tape deregulation. Yeah. So if we get modest harm or do no harm, if we get a China deal resolved on pretty much, there's a pretty wide range you could accept, and the overall impact on the Trump agenda is good for the economy.
It's the doctor's creed. At first, do no harm.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the most important thing. All right.